Imagine you've been chasing the enemy for 9 straight days, watching them flee every time you get close. On the 9th morning, May 31st, 1223, you stand by Ukraine's Kalka River with 80,000 warriors behind you. Victory is in your grasp. The Mongols flee again, just as they have for over a week. Glory is near. Mstislav the Bold, Prince of Galicia, craved glory. He ordered his army and Cuman allies to cross the river. They ignored the other Rus princes. Thousands surged across the Kalka, weapons raised, victory chants echoing across the vast steppe. Up ahead, the Mongol army was still retreating, like they'd been doing for 9 straight days. Backs turned, moving away from the fight. It made sense to the Rus. These Mongols were raiders from the east, and now they were finally facing a real army. 80,000 of the finest warriors from Kievan Rus and their Cuman allies. Of course they were running, but what Mstislav the Bold didn't know was that leading this Mongol force were 2 of the greatest generals in history. Jebe, whose name meant the arrow, and Subbutai, a tactical genius who would eventually conquer more territory than any commander in human history. And they had been planning this moment for over a week. Watching from the hills, Mongol scouts knew the Rus numbers, their divisions, their pride, and exactly how they fought. For 9 days, the Mongols lured them deeper into the steppe, away from cities, reinforcements, supplies, and fresh horses. The Rus princes argued over glory.
Your caution will be our ruin, and your recklessness will doom us all. Brothers, we must stand united. United,
and
he plots against us.
Bold,
Lies, you
each
twist the
craving
truth.
the kill.
The Mongols are
Cumans
closing in from
warned
the
the
east.
Rus
How far
repeatedly.
behind?
These Mongols
We
fought
must reach the river.
differently,
Our
and
scouts will
something
hold them.
about this
Pray they
advance felt terribly wrong. But Mstislav the Bold brushed warnings aside. Battle hardened, he saw victory clearly and refused to let it slip away. On May 31st, he gave the order. His forces splashed across the Kalka, breaking formation to chase retreating enemies. The Mongols kept retreating, always just out of reach, drawing the Rus forward mile after relentless mile across steppe. And then suddenly, they stopped. The entire Mongol army halted as one, and they turned around. They formed battle lines with terrifying precision. Thousands of horsemen moving as one, no shouting, no confusion, only deadly coordination. The Cuman warriors went pale. They'd fought steppe peoples before. They understood what was happening in a way the Rus didn't. This wasn't a retreat. This was the Mangudai, the feigned retreat, an ancient tactic perfected by the Mongols to devastating effect. For 9 days, they'd been led exactly where the Mongols wanted them, stretched out across miles of steppe, divided, exhausted, with the river now at their backs and no easy escape. The Cumans had seen this before, heard the stories from the east. They knew that when Mongol generals like Jebe and Subbutai stopped running, it meant the real battle was about to begin. And they knew how it would end. Then came a low rumble from the hills flanking the valley. At first, the Rus mistook it for thunder. It wasn't thunder. Thousands of Mongol hoofbeats erupted from both hills. Hidden warriors, lying in wait, now unleashed upon the Rus. The Cumans broke first, offering no fight. They fled through Rus lines, trampling allies in panic to escape. The Rus army fell into chaos. Mstislav the Bold shouted orders, but half crossed the river, the rest scattered. The Mongols didn't charge in recklessly like European knights would have. They circled. Their horse archers moved at incredible speeds, staying just out of range of Rus weapons, and rained arrows from every direction. The Rus had heavy cavalry and foot soldiers designed for close combat. But the Mongols wouldn't give them close combat. Whenever the Rus tried to form a shield wall or charge, the Mongols would simply fade away, then strike from a different angle. They controlled the pace. They controlled the distance. They controlled everything. This was Mongol warfare. Total battlefield dominance through mobility and discipline. Each Mongol warrior carried multiple bows, firing deadly arrows at full gallop, slowly bleeding the Rus army from afar. Arrows ranged from front, side, and rear. No direction was safe. No shelter existed on the open steppe. Mstislav of Kiev, seeing disaster, retreated to a hill, built a hasty camp, refusing battle, watching princes slaughtered. When the Rus formed defences, Mongols feigned charges, then pulled back, luring pursuers into hidden archers, deadly waiting fire. The battle raged from day into night. Fires lit the steppe, while the screams of dying men echoed endlessly. The second day left the Rus broken and encircled, thousands dead. Yet the Mongols had suffered almost no losses. Jebe and Subutai observed from afar, directing their forces with flags and messengers. Every move calculated, every attack purposeful.
Victory is near.
The Mongol strategy was simple, but brutally effective. They created a killing zone. The Rus were trapped with the river behind them, and the Mongols tightened the noose slowly, methodically. They didn't rush. They didn't need to. Time was on their side. The Rus had no food, no water, no reinforcements coming. Every hour the circle got smaller. Every hour more arrows found their marks. Mongol warfare wasn't about honour or glory. It was about winning. Completely. Decisively. And they were very, very good at it. This wasn't even their main army. This was a scouting force. 20,000 men sent west to gather intelligence about Europe, and they were casually destroying 80,000 of the Rus' best warriors. On the third day, Mstislav the Bold led a desperate final charge, throwing every able man against Mongol lines. They were cut down before reaching the Mongols. Continuous fire forced the charge to collapse, turning it into a massacre. Mstislav the Bold was captured alive. So were several other princes. The common soldiers were killed or enslaved. The Mongols then sent envoys to Mstislav of Kiev, surrender and live. Seeing no choice and trusting the Mongols' promise, Mstislav of Kiev surrendered. His men laid down weapons, opening the gates. The Mongols lied. Not a single prince was spared, but they didn't just execute them. The Mongol commanders, Jebe and Subutai, wanted to send a message that would echo across all of Europe. They had their engineers build a large wooden platform. Then they forced the captured Rus princes, including Mstislav the Bold and Mstislav of Kiev, to lie on the ground. They placed the wooden platform on top of them, and then the Mongol commanders held a victory feast on that platform, celebrating, drinking, eating, while beneath them, the princes of Rus were slowly crushed to death under the weight. Their screams grew weaker, then stopped. This was psychological warfare. This was a message, not just to the Rus, but to everyone. When it was over, 80,000 men were dead or captured. 6 princes had been killed. Entire bloodlines were wiped out. The few survivors fled west, spreading horror tales of an unstoppable Eastern army. Warriors fighting like demons from beyond. Mongol casualties were minimal, perhaps only a few hundred, marking one of history's most lopsided military victories ever recorded.
The mountain passes
Jebe and Subutai had completed their mission. scouting western lands, testing European armies, and finding them utterly wanting, unprepared. But they did not invade further, not yet. Instead, they turned east, riding thousands of miles back to Mongolia. The news of the disaster at the Kalka River spread across Kievan Rus like wildfire. Entire cities mourned. The flower of Rus nobility had been destroyed in 3 days. But the real terror was the question that haunted everyone. Would the Mongols come back? The answer was yes, but not immediately. The Mongols had other conquests to complete first. China, Persia, the Khwarezmian Empire, but they'd marked Europe. They knew the way. They knew the weaknesses. And they knew they could win. 14 years later, in 1237, they would return. And this time, it wouldn't be a scouting mission. It would be a full invasion. The Battle of Kalka River was only a warning shot, revealing what awaited anyone facing the Mongol war machine. Europe glimpsed its future, coming on horseback from the east, heralded by thunder of 100,000 hooves approaching.